Welcome to the wide world of esports, a show devoted to all things esports. I'm your host, Katharine Nohr. Today we're talking about the U.S. Army esports team with founder Sergeant Christopher Jones, shoutcaster specialist Corey Bergstrom, and team manager specialist Hugo Flores. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hi. Hey, thanks so much for having us.
Fantastic. Anyway, my first question, although we have had Major General Frank Muth on to talk about the Army esports team, let's just start with, why do you have the team?
So the easy answer right there is connecting America to its Army through the passion of gaming. And obviously what that means is, just like the Army has been a part of sports for a very long time, obviously dating all the way back to 1890, when you look at the Army-Navy football game. So esports is obviously one of the highest growing sports currently. So why not have an esports team that would represent the Army in local, regional, and national level events? So this is a unique opportunity to not just have, for example, the military academy at West Point, but now all soldiers have the ability to participate in this new medium.
Sergeant, I understand that the original idea came from you. Is that right?
Yes. So the idea of participating in gaming and esports definitely was one of my ideas, for sure.
Okay. So how did you make that happen?
It really just happened when I spoke with a lot of different people from all over the country, where, they see the uniform and there's a little bit of an assumption behind that, which is, maybe you only did a certain thing in high school. Maybe you only like certain hobbies. And what I found out is, maybe I'm talking with someone, they're wearing an anime shirt or they're wearing something related to gaming. And we start going down the conversation. Hey, I've been playing World of Warcraft since vanilla, or I enjoy the Legend of Zelda series, is one of my favorite series. And then all of a sudden I kind of get a deer in the headlights look of, well, I didn't know that, you as a soldier would participate in gaming or even esports. If I talk about, I love the World of Warcraft Arena World Championship or something. And having that conversation happen hundreds of times, it really kind of dawned on me that there really is a separation, right? Meaning a lot of people have an assumption of who is in their Army. So with the growing esports industry, I figured it was an amazing opportunity to have soldiers be able to represent in something that a large portion of the younger demographic, whether it be 18 to anywhere from 24 all the way up to my age, 35, soldiers actively participating. So I kind of put that idea together and presented to the leadership. And obviously, without Major General Frank Muth, the Command Sergeant Major Tabitha Gavia, the previous leadership, Board of Recruiting Command, they were the ones that took that idea and made it a reality.
Terrific. Well, before we go further in this conversation, I'd like to show a video of U.S. Army esports.
U.S. Army Esports, my goodness, from start to finish, dominant performance. Bop. That is why you pick up the Kramer.
Specialist Bergstrom, tell me, what did we just watch?
So that was our video of PAX East this year, just before all the crazy stuff went down. We can't go to conventions right now. We had a couple of our Apex players go out and compete in a tournament with attendees of the convention, and they went out there and showed why they're on the team and crushed it and won the little tourney they had going on.
Terrific. So tell me what your role in U.S. Army Esports is.
So I am the shoutcaster slash commentator. I also deal with production for our live streams every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on our Twitch, where we stream different games, and I deal with, obviously, like I said, the production side of things. So how the stream comes out, how it looks, and then also the shoutcasting. So whenever you watch football or soccer, you've got the guys that are yelling and calling out what's going on and making it a little bit more digestible for people that are viewing this esport. And I'm there to interact with, not only the players and what's going on in the game, but also the chat and the people that are there, and be able to, instead of just watching gameplay with no commentary, I'm the guy there that's helping you through what's going on.
Terrific. And I understand that you have some ties to Hawaii. Is that correct?
Yes, I was stationed on Wheeler Army Airfield as a AH-64, which is the Apache. I was a mechanic and a crew chief for that for 3 years out there. I live down in Kapolei by the big mall, about 5-minute walk from there.
Okay. And are you involved with the Army trailer?
Yes, I'm also the driver for the trailer. I've been doing that for about a year and a month now. I've taken that thing all over the U.S. and back twice. So anywhere that big truck goes is usually where I am too.
What's the purpose of the trailer?
So whenever we're in the trailer, we go out and go to high schools or events, and it's a way for people to come and be able to talk to soldiers that are there with the truck and kind of get our story in person. Because you see stuff all over social media or online, and you have other people's assumptions and opinions. But I think it's always better to talk to a soldier face to face and ask, "Hey, so what do you do in the military? What's your role?" And for me to go out there and be able to talk to all these impressionable people and tell them my thoughts and my story that's the whole purpose of the truck, is the face-to-face interaction with people, and be like, "Hey, this is what I do. This is my hobby behind me. Let me go prove to you how good I am at Call of Duty," instead of just, saying it.
Okay. And Specialist Flores, tell us what you do with Army Esports.
Yes, so I'm currently the Rocket League team manager. So not only do I manage the team, I also do compete. It's been a lot of fun, given the current situation with the pandemic. We do a lot of things online. So actually, just about like 2 days ago, we did a scrimmage with one of the high schools that we scrimmaged, I want to say about 6 months back. And we were able to coach and help those kids, and seeing them again play a heck of a lot better was super neat. So not only do we engage in online tournaments and competitions, but we also do help, high schools, especially with esports taking off across the country. We have a lot of knowledge because we play a lot of games and we're pretty good. So definitely passing some of that over to them. It's really great.
I think you're in the right game because Rocket League, I understand, is a possible contender for being an Olympic sport, esport. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes. So before the Olympics, well, before everything happened, Rocket League was actually one of the selected titles to be played in a tournament before the Olympics actually kicked off. Now, Rocket League is as simple as you can explain it, is car soccer, right? So everyone can follow. I've even shown my parents and my wife. We've gone, actually, I went to the 2 world championships here in the US, and I took my wife to one, and we're there yelling, they score a goal, and it's very easy to follow. Very exciting. It's, like the number one sport in the world is soccer, right? Put some cars in there and have a lot of fun.
Terrific. Sergeant Jones, what other games does U.S. Army Esports play?
So we participate in a lot of different titles. The main titles that we have here full time is we have a full time League of Legends team, as well as a couple of fighting game players and some first person shooter players, obviously spread between things like Apex Legends, like you saw in the video there. But we also spread that out to what we call the at large community because there are so many soldiers that want to participate in it that allows us to have soldiers that volunteer their time that want to compete in esports to add on different things like maybe a Warzone team as well as Counter Strike and as Overwatch and all these additional titles. So we do have a large portfolio, if you will, of soldiers that want to participate across a lot of major titles.
Oh, terrific. And so how has, so Sergeant Jones, how has COVID impacted U.S. Army esports?
So it's obviously impacted the fact that we're not going to physical events, visiting universities and different things like that, doing scrimmages in person or those type of events. Obviously, those were removed, but obviously the glory of esports is it's always been online anyway. So we still have the participation of online tournaments or the streaming that we do with scrimmages, whether it be a university or just like Specialist Flores said, doing things with a high school esports team to help them get better in their program. So we've been having a lot of really unique opportunities during this pandemic to kind of, go through the online community and, continue what we're doing.
Sure, that sounds terrific. And Specialist Bergstrom, why don't you tell us why you joined the Army?
So I think that Specialist Flores has a better story, but for me,
Okay.
I grew up in rural New England, up in New Hampshire, a little town called Barrington, and then halfway through my life, moved down to Florida. And after seeing, all the job opportunities and stuff for me down there, I figured that going into the military and being able to get a trade under my belt before going out and being an adult in the real world was my best opportunity. Plus, obviously, benefits and college and all that stuff. So I joined to better myself and, set myself up for the future outside of the military. And, right now I'm working on my way to getting into college and stuff while I'm in the Army. And so I'm learning, exploring the US and going to college all at the same time and getting all these awesome things in one place instead of struggling my first steps outside the door. So that was kind of why I joined, set myself up. And, now I'm married and I have two cats and they're my babies and I can take care of all of them and myself at the same time now. So
Yeah, the most important thing is being able to take care of your cats, in my opinion.
it is.
Um, so you probably would have a great future after the Army in shoutcasting, I would think.
I've actually got quite a few opportunities from the Army. I've got my CDL now after coming to Fort Knox to drive the truck. So I've got that under my belt. I can work as a mechanic for Boeing or for Lockheed Martin or any of those businesses. And also now that I'm getting my foot into the door to shoutcasting, I also have that opportunity as well. I've gotten so many different opportunities just from being in the military and getting to explore all that and meet all these cool people and stuff through this and my normal job.
Sure. Well, I understand, Specialist Flores, you have a good story about why you joined the Army.
Yes, something like that. So I'm part of the Texas Army National Guard. I'm the sole National Guard representative here at U.S. Army Esports. And the way I came into the Army, since living in Texas, we do have a lot of hurricanes. My hometown was personally affected. And I was out there volunteering because for me, I've always been one of those people that wants to help. Now, when I got the opportunity to join the Army National Guard, with Hurricane Harvey happening, I was able to be called up and go help those people because I know, that was my family at some point, and we're able to go out there and help them out. It's very fulfilling, and I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's been one of the best experiences of my life, to be honest.
Terrific. Sergeant Jones, why did you join the Army?
So, we go way back in the time machine in DeLorean 88 miles an hour back to 2002, 2001. I was already in high school Army JROTC. I played in the band. I was a percussionist. I had that going on at high school. I have a tradition of military service in my family from my father, uncle, grandfather, World War II and even previous. But even that obviously is not the specific event because obviously everybody has such a a unique story. It's never one specific thing. And September 11th happened, and I was already looking at the Army as a career, and that kind of pushed me in that direction. It's kind of like the Specialist Flores, where you get that feeling of wanting to do good for the sake of good. There's no specific reward. There's no specific glory you're looking for. You're looking to move into that position to just be a part of the solution, to do the best you can. And the Army afforded me that opportunity. I got to choose my job as a military police soldier. And whether it's going through military police school, airborne school, the different units working in Germany, in Bragg, having all these unique opportunities within the law enforcement career, and as well as just like Specialist Bergstrom said with the benefits and stuff like that. I always joke all the time is at the time, the girl I was dating in high school, I'd actually looked at taking a break after graduating high school before joining the Army. And I remember her saying, if you do that, you'll probably never do it. And, I kind of sat back and said, well, yeah, you're probably right. And that was about, 16 years ago. And that's been my wife for the last 16 years. I don't know if it was a setup. We're still thinking about that. I'm not sure. But, all of those things kind of came together. And, the last 17 years of my Army career, like I have not doubted it 1 minute. I would do it all over again without thinking twice. So, yeah, just like their stories, everybody has, so complex of a story. It's really always hard to narrow down that specific event.
Well, I bet you would have, if you talked to your younger self, you would be surprised at being involved in Army's esports 16 years down the road. Is that right?
Absolutely. If you'd have told me that, I'd be here now, obviously I told you you're crazy. There's no way this is happening. But at the same time, kind of like I said, when you look at the landscape, we've participated in traditional sports since, like I said, 1890, and we have competitive shooting team, we have competitive tandem jumping team. So it almost, looking at it now, it's like, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
Sure. And are you all stationed in the same place?
Yes, we're all stationed here at Fort Knox, Kentucky.
And how long is your tour there for esports?
So the tour right now, we're looking at about 3 years. Obviously, we're still a new unit, so a lot of those kinds of ins and outs are still being worked out.
Okay. And so has the Army been successful in tournaments?
Yes. So our League of Legends teams obviously stay very busy in online tournaments. There's so many different ones, and as well as participating against local universities and things like that, like Boise State and stuff like that. So they've taken home a good number of online tournaments from there. Obviously, like we showed at PAX East, we won the Apex Legends Pro-Am during that event. We've participated in a lot of different ones. So it's really cool to see the spread portfolio, like I said, of different titles that we're participating in, and soldiers taking home the W.
Sure. Specialist Bergstrom, he touched on the type of skills that one can gain in the Army from esports. What are your thoughts on that, Sergeant Jones?
So the really cool thing is some of the crossover that you'll see, and it might not be prevalent at first, but when you kind of dig a little bit deeper, you can have a very surface level understanding of it. So if I say a soldier is an information technology soldier, obviously maintaining operating systems, getting courses like Microsoft A+, CCNA Network Plus, that are very high demand jobs, even in the esports industry, especially, you start to see a little bit of crossover already. Then you also start to notice that some of these soldiers grow into their positions, like Specialist Bergstrom, for example. Obviously, there's not your normal school of esports commentating, right? There's no courses there. But at the same time, even some of the small variable skills that you get, interpersonal communication, having to be trained as a soldier to be a leader, for example, you have to have interpersonal communication. So even those small training bits that you get in the Army along the way can transfer. Not to say every single person that goes to a leadership school is going to be a commentator, but all of those things kind of come together. And adding on the fact that the Army teaches how to work as a team, some of those innate values that are taught along the way that are job immaterial can be applied to these types of situations. So we could probably go on for a very long time and talk about the many different aspects of over 150 different careers about how someone can find themselves working in the Army, doing a specific job, coming out, and then actually being hired in the esports industry themselves.
Sure. Now I'd like to direct this question to Specialist Flores. What skills do you feel that you've gained from your work in esports in the Army?
In esports in particular?
Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, I'd say marketing, right? I can talk to a lot of people and help them just about in every which way. So, with us being a new esports program, we've obviously had growing pains, right? And we can actually go out to these high schools, even universities. They ask for advice and help, and we can kind of coach them along the way through their growing pains, kind of things that we've already done to make their transition a lot faster. That's probably the biggest takeaway from doing this and being in the military. Um, it's something how Sergeant First Class Jones was saying that all these innate skills, right? So leadership, being able to make quick decisions, and being in control when everything is kind of all over the place. It's honestly very, very priceless.
Okay. And Specialist Bergstrom,
Yes, ma'am.
are people surprised to hear that there's an Army esports team?
Absolutely. I think that the American population has a bit of a disconnect with the military right now. And whenever I tell them, just as Sergeant Jones was saying earlier, whenever I'm out talking to people in my own free time or whatever I'm doing, like even just at bars or whatever I'm doing on the weekend, in game, even when I'm playing with people, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in the military, and they go, you sound like you're a radio show host first, and I'm like, no, I'm in the military, I'm a mechanic, and they go, wait, you play video games? How do you have time for that? And people don't realize that the Army is a job, and with every job, and especially the military, they understand that you need your free time. So other people recognize that, because as everybody knows or doesn't know, sorry, I guess, there's military members in every game across the world, right? And people either know that they're playing with military people or they're playing with people in the military and they don't know it. And when you tell them about the esports team, a lot of people at first are like, that doesn't make any sense. But as they think about who they've played with and, video games in general, like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. So it's usually a shock at first, but then people go, yeah, that makes sense. I've got a buddy that's in the Marine Corps that's been playing games with me since he was in high school. So.
Okay. So I have a question, and I'll read it first and then I'll direct. Okay. Currently, your main job is playing esports, but if US goes to war, does that mean your main job becomes fighting and you don't play esports anymore? I'll ask Sergeant Jones that.
Yeah. So essentially, while we're on assignment here, this is the primary duty. So, kind of like I mentioned, even though soldiers like Specialist Flores and Specialist Bergstrom have a primary job, while they're here, this is their primary duty. Now, when they're assigned to a different unit in that job, it depends on the job specifically. What are you doing? What's your job? If you're a 12 kilo, which is a plumber, we need you to be a plumber, right? No one's making up any kind of specific thing. Your mission set is based on what your job is. So wherever that soldier is stationed, whatever the mission set is, that's how everything is looked at, specifically with missions for the Army.
Okay. If Sergeant Jones, if someone is interested in trying becoming a member of the or joining the Army and trying out for the team, what do they have to do?
So, U.S. Army Esports is not an entry level program, meaning a direct enlistment option. It is a program that's designed for soldiers that are already in. So, obviously, someone that's already looking at the Army as a profession they would like to get into, whether short term or long term, that's your beginning steps. So, it's the added bonus after you're already pursuing a career that you've chosen. And if this is something you're looking towards, you can obviously join our Discord and go with a certain team, because obviously we have volunteer team managers like Specialist Flores and all those different games that will run iterations of different scrimmages and tournaments to find the best talent. And depending on the type of events that we have going on for certain titles, those soldiers, even if they're working at their unit, let's say at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, if they're an at-large member of one of our teams, if we have an event going on where they need to travel across the country and go compete, then our program's going to allow them to go do that, even though they're working a completely different job.
I see. Okay. And I'll let you give us the last word today, Sergeant Jones. Why don't you tell us anything you think is important for them to know about U.S. Army esports that we haven't covered?
So I think some of the really cool aspects of this is the community itself. Because what we discovered, which we kind of knew coming into this, that so many soldiers are already been embedded in the gaming community and even the esports industry and community all this time. No one's just known. Now we have a program that puts it out in the forefront. So what you're going to see from us is the same old thing, which is competing in esports, bringing soldiers in that previously didn't have that opportunity, that wanted to still be a part of the communities that they love. So us being able to tell the stories of these soldiers to you is what we're here for. Obviously, everyone knows of the Army itself. We all know the organization itself. What we're trying to show you is who is underneath the uniform. Who is that person that has enlisted in the Army, but has also been a part of this community this entire time. So these are the stories that we're going to continue to show you. And we hope you come along for the ride. We hope you watch us while we're competing in whatever title that we're competing in. We're out here to have fun. We're out here to win as well. So keep paying attention. You can follow us on social media at U.S. Army Esports on all the platforms, and come have fun.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Sergeant Jones, Specialist Flores, and Specialist Bergstrom. And thank you to our viewers today for joining us today. In 2 weeks, my guest will be Ari Fox to discuss exciting new developments in esports. See you then.